Welcome to Justice for, a true crime podcast hosted by two besties from Colorado. We're focused on bringing justice to the victims by telling their stories. New episodes release every single Tuesday, so make sure to hit that subscribe button and the follow button anywhere that you can find us, and you'll get updates on all of our new episodes.
Just a warning, this podcast does contain adult language and adult themes such as assault and abuse of varying forms, so please listen and watch with discretion. Hey y'all, and welcome back to Justice For. We're your hosts. I'm Jackie.
And I'm Sam.
So today's case is definitely one that has popped in and out of my head over the last 12 years. Because it plays out more like a teen drama that you would watch on TV instead of the small town news headline it started out as. So there's beautiful girls and partying and secrets, but you know what they say. 3 can keep a secret if one of them is dead. Or whatever Pretty Little Liars said. So if you haven't guessed today, I will be telling you and Sam the heartbreaking story of Skylar Neese.
I mean, you guys liked us so much when we did it with Suzanne Morphew, so here we are again, me and you guys learning at the same time.
Oh, and this is one of my favorites. What better place than to start with Skylar herself? Skylar was a beautiful, fun-loving 16-year-old who lived in Star City, West Virginia.
Mm-hmm. This is why you like it.
It is.
This is it.
It is. Know. My whole family's from West Virginia. It's why it's also stuck with me, because I knew I knew the area.
I get it.
So
that's also why she doesn't pronounce Colorado properly. It's not from here. God. I'm sorry, go on.
It's fine. So, Star City is a town in West Virginia just outside of Morgantown, and Morgantown is a college town, home to WVU, West Virginia University Mountaineers, and it's not too far from the Pennsylvania border. Skylar loved clothes, and she loved going shopping. Her mom did not love going shopping, but nonetheless, Skylar drug her everywhere. She was really into bright colors and rainbow colors, and her favorite color was purple. She loved animals, anything with a heartbeat, really. I mean, her dad couldn't even kill a fly. She wanted him to release them outside. But she was your typical teenager, with long brown hair and glasses. She was on the honor roll. School was really important to her. Mm-hmm. She had a part-time job at Wendy's, spent any free time she had with her 2 best friends, and when she wasn't with them, they were constantly tweeting and texting each other. Skylar was an only child, and she was very close with her parents, Mary and Dave Neese. In 2nd grade, Skylar met Sheila Eddy at a summer camp, and they became inseparable. They were always at each other's houses, and since Sheila was also an only child, Skylar and Sheila were basically accepted as second daughters in each other's houses, to the point that Skylar started to go on vacation to Myrtle Beach with Sheila and her mom, Tara. Nice. Sheila and Tara were super close. They were like best friends instead of mother and daughter. Sheila's parents had divorced when she was younger, her dad living in Blacksville, Pennsylvania, which was about 30 miles from Star City. And Sheila was a pretty brunette who could command a room and instantly make friends. She was described as a bit of a sour patch, so she could be really intense and then super sweet and chill just the next minute. That was her vibe all the time.
Is that me?
No. You're not psycho.
Thank you.
So even though Skylar and Sheila had been friends since 2nd grade, they didn't attend school together until their freshman year of high school at University High School. This is where they met Rachel Schoaf. Rachel was a fiery redhead who had previously been attending Catholic school. Just like Skylar and Sheila, Rachel was also an only child. Her parents divorced like Sheila's did when she was younger. Rachel and her mom did not have the close relationship that Skylar and Sheila had with their parents. Rachel's mom, Patricia, was, for lack of a better word, a helicopter parent. Constantly up Rachel's ass about everything. Mm-hmm. And Rachel was really into theater, and her mom thought that she was going to be a Broadway star. And she was going to make sure of it.
Bitch? What?
Yeah. Like, her mom was up Rachel's ass constantly, that she was doing her schoolwork, she was doing everything, she was in theater, she was getting every part she could. There wasn't anything Rachel did without her mom knowing. And they were constantly at it.
Okay.
So, even though Skylar and Sheila had been friends forever, All three girls were new to the school. Rachel instantly clicked with Skylar and Sheila, and they quickly became a trio. They were definitely getting noticed at school. All three girls were very pretty, and if you saw one of them, you saw all three of them. The girls would occasionally sneak out and go smoke weed somewhere, but were usually back home before anyone knew. Eventually, Rachel wanted to get more into partying, and Sheila knew exactly the right people. Sheila, uh, Sheila was more into partying than Skylar and Rachel were, and she did more of that without them. She's also described as very sexually forward.
Definitely.
Like a lot of her Twitter, like a lot of her tweets and other stuff.
What the fuck?
Sorry guys, Siri tried to understand what I meant. She would get described a lot as very sexually forward in everything she did.
Ugh.
So,
okay, sorry.
yes.
So she was probably a partier because her and her mom were besties instead of,
Being a
parent and
fucking
child.
parent.
And, like, she probably knew, like, oh, I can use my body to get whatever I want.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Essentially. She's one of those.
Fantastic.
So, it was around this point that the rules of the trio kind of became more clear. So,
I'm sorry, they had rules?
Roles.
Roles.
So, like, the roles of this trio kind of started to take place. So, Sheila became the ringleader because she got her license first and she had a car. So, she could drive everybody around. And Rachel kind of just, like, slid into being her second hand. And Skylar just kind of seemed to be along for the ride. That didn't mean that she'd let them walk all over her, but she just kind of seemed to be there for everything.
All right. Okay. Let's fucking go.
Right?
I guess.
Like, I mean, it's really weird that Rachel shifted up into Skylar's spot, but you'll understand. So, in August of 2011, as the girls were going into their sophomore year, they had a rare sleepover at Rachel's house. And Rachel's mom, Patricia, was really strict and constantly up Rachel's ass, like I said. And so at this sleepover, the girls snuck some liquor from Patricia's liquor cabinet and went into Rachel's room, pulled the dresser in front of it so they could drink, and Patricia wouldn't accidentally walk in and catch them. Well, as the night went on and they drank, according to Skylar's journal, Sheila and Rachel started kissing each other in every way possible.
Scandalous.
And it was the most uncomfortable Skylar has ever felt in her life, according to her. So later on that evening, the girls got into this huge argument. And this argument was so loud that Rachel's neighbor, Kim, said she could hear it from inside her house.
Where the fuck was Patty at?
Patty was in the house. And the girls ended up outside screaming. And eventually, like, Patricia got them all inside. And they went to bed. So,
all right.
When school started that year, classmates had definitely started to notice the girls were acting different around each other. There was always some kind of drama going on with them. A classmate who was in a play with Rachel recalled a time when Rachel was just holding the phone up to her ear laughing because Sheila had three-wayed Rachel into a fight with her and Skylar had no idea Rachel was listening to the whole thing. And Rachel just thought it was hilarious. So the high school counselor would go on to say that everyone knew when they were fighting. Like, even the staff knew about it. And there's a really good podcast called 3 that came out earlier this year, and it is a 9-episode podcast over Skylar Neese and her story.
I've seen it, but I haven't listened to it.
It's amazing. I recommend all of you guys go listen to it. It's just about this, and it is 2 journalists, and they were originally on the case back in 2012. Mm-hmm. And it is them just driving around town with Dave Neese talking to him.
2012?
Mm-hmm. It was just driving around with Dave Neese, her dad, and like stories and all this stuff. It's actually really good. I love it. I've listened to it like 4 times. But in that podcast, they have a clip with the counselor. And he made a really interesting point about the number of kids in a friend group. 2 is fine because it's equal. But 3 is a crowd. 3 is a bad number because 2 can gang up on 1. But 5 is fine and 7 is fine. But there's something about that 3 number that is just bad. And I know that look on your face because we are a trio. I know. It's what I thought of while I filmed this. But also, so I have a 10-year-old. And last year, her and her best friend, this little girl came in
Oh,
and
I remember
fucked
hearing about
it
this shit.
up.
Oh.
It was 3, and I mean, listening to that, it is so true. 3 is such a dangerous dynamic for girls, and it's, I mean, not us, we're adults.
Get
But
the fuck out of your own house.
But so it's just a very interesting point that 3 is just a dangerous number for teenage girls to be in.
Let's stress maybe young children.
Yes,
Because we're good.
we're good.
We're good.
But
maybe.
But it's just a very interesting point that 2 is fine, 4 is fine, 5 and 7 are even great, but 3
That's
just
way too
seems
many
to be
friends.
dangerous.
7 people in a friend group, that's way too much.
Right? So as the school year progressed, more and more fights were happening occasionally. And sometimes they got physical. You know, there was a movie theater incident where Skylar and Sheila were texting like other people, and like they were trying to help each other with their texting, and Skylar would take the phone and Sheila just slapped her across the face. So Skylar swung back. But then that was it. It was done. They watched the movie. So it would get a little physical, but nothing ever more than that. I mean, when I was in high school, if a girl ever slapped me, her ass was going to the ground. So me and my friends didn't play like that, but maybe they did.
I would love to see you get in a fight.
Nicole's getting older. Just
Us
wait.
3. Let's go.
I'm about to have a teenager. Give it a couple years.
Bro, that's not okay. I don't.
If she wants to throw hands, I'll throw hands.
That's not what I'm okay about.
About the fact that I'm going to have a teenager soon?
Yes, we're going to have a teenager soon.
We are.
We already have a middle schooler. This is too much.
I know.
Fuck, dude.
Okay, we digress. That spring, when Skylar and Sheila went to Myrtle Beach for their trip they had a massive fight. Like, screaming match argument. And Skylar was threatening to tell about Sheila and Rachel because she was tired of feeling like a third wheel.
Threatening to tell what?
About their little...
Oh, yeah.
About their little sexcapades. Because you have to think, 2012, small town West Virginia. We're not really accepting here of being lesbians.
What a fucking narc.
So, after that, Sheila and Rachel seemed to be hanging out a lot more without Skylar. And Skylar took notice. But she didn't stay quiet about it. She tweeted about it. In fact, these girls tweeted about absolutely everything. You see,
are these two still around?
Oh, yeah. It was prime Twitter era. And they were teenagers, so you bet every thought they had went out in 160 characters or less. All of their tweets are still up, so you can go back and read them, including pictures and a really weird video of Sheila asking Rachel and Skylar if they would rather suffocate or get shot. To which they both said, get shot. Then she asked, eaten by ants or suffocated? They both said suffocated. Then Sheila asks, drowning or suffocating? They said suffocating. Then one says, it's almost the same thing, but Sheila's quick with, I know, but it's not. And then went on to say,
obviously,
if you use a pillow, then it gets cut off because the subject changes by one of the other girls. But what the fuck, dude? And this is months before Skylar's disappearance. It seems like a normal teen video of girls messing around because they're talking about this and they're talking about that. But it's just so interesting how adamant and serious Sheila gets when she goes, but it's different.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah, but okay, also, my mama, what, why is she even still going on these family trips if they're, also, I know I'm not finishing full sentences here, but like, if a friend screamed at me, like screaming match, like,
that video was before then, but like, you have to think, Tara isn't our normal mom. Remember, she's our best friend mom.
She's a cool mom.
She's a regular mom. She's a cool mom. Yeah, so the video is just weird. And
what video?
Of her asking how they would rather die.
Oh, yeah, it was a whole video. I thought it was just tweets.
No, that was just like a little video they did.
That's fucking weird.
But to go on to tweets, in the weeks after school was out, so between their sophomore year and their junior year, so in June, end of June, Skylar tweets, 3 of my best friends are going out of town this weekend. FMO. And then Another day she goes, it's something new every day. Later that night, hope you don't expect me to give a fuck anymore. Hashtag bye. All of these were either tweeted at Sheila or Rachel. On July 2nd.
You can tweet at, like, you can at people.
Mhm.
I don't understand Twitter.
I don't either. It took me so long to go through all this and figure it out. It took a minute, but I got it. So then, on July 2nd.
Does your daughter understand Twitter?
No.
Damn it.
She isn't social media yet.
That's good. That's for the past.
Yeah. So on July 2nd, Skylar tweets, people can be so mean for no reason.
Yeah.
On July 4th, sick of being at fucking home. Thanks, friends. Friends is in quotes. Love hanging out with you all too. Followed by, stress will be the death of me.
Facts.
Her last tweet posted to her account ever would be on July 5th. And it said, you doing shit like that is why I will never, in all caps, completely trust you. Now, you're confused right now, but you won't be in about the next few minutes.
That just reminds me of, you remember when we would post, like, music lyrics?
Yes.
And just leave it at that?
Yes.
Those were the days, man.
It really was. And when I was reading through this Twitter, I was, like, taking everything with a grain of salt because I remember the shit that we used to, like, say and stuff like that. But some things are actually, the ones that we've pulled out are actually pointed towards what's happening.
Sometimes I would just post music lyrics
Mm-hmm.
just because, and there was nothing, like,
Nothing whatsoever.
I was just like, I like this song, but, like, I want people to think there's something wrong with me.
Yes.
I'm edgy. I couldn't put it behind my ear.
Yeah. It's edgy. So this brings us to July 6, 2012.
Ugh.
Dave Neese came home around lunchtime to leave the car for Skylar so she could go to her job at Wendy's later that day. Even though Skylar just had her permit, Dave and Mary trusted her to drive Dave back to work and then drive herself to work. So Dave walks in the house. Remember, small town West Virginia, y'all. Small town West Virginia. So Dave calls out for Skylar when he gets home. And when Skylar doesn't answer, he calls out for her again. Notices her door's locked. So he goes and gets a hanger and gets the door open. And he discovers that Skylar's window's cracked. And her makeup bench is outside, propped up against the apartment complex wall. And Dave realizes that Skylar must have snuck out again. But he had a feeling something was wrong this time because Skylar wasn't anywhere to be found. So he called Sheila. Obviously, the first call you're going to make is your 16-year-old's best friend. And she told him that she talked to Skylar around midnight the night before on the phone. So then Dave called Mary and told her the situation that was unfolding.
That's her mother.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
She told him, don't worry, she's probably out with other friends and forgot to tell us. Besides, she has work at 4. She's never missed work. So Mary got home from work around 4 p.m., a little bit before that. And maybe before Mary even got the chance to call Wendy's and see if Skylar made it, Wendy's was calling her and asking her where Skylar was. And that's when they knew something was wrong. So they called 911 and reported Skylar missing. Well, about 15 minutes after they make this 911 call, the phone rings. It's Sheila. Sheila calls back because she needs to admit something. She lied.
Huh.
Her and Skylar and Rachel, they snuck out at about 11 o'clock the night before. And they drove around town, and then they dropped her back at the apartment complex. But they dropped her down the street at Skylar's request because Skylar didn't want to wake her parents up or to get caught sneaking back in. So after this, Sheila and Tara come over to the house and instantly started helping Dave and Mary search for Skylar. They started printing out flyers, immediately, to hand out. While they were walking around, knocking on doors in the apartment complex, Mary remembers there's security cameras. So the police officers have shown up at this point. So the police officers, Dave and Mary Neese, Tara and Sheila, all sit down. And they watch as they rewind this video. And at 12:31, they see a car drive up and Skylar comes running out and gets in. The footage is really grainy.
Ugh.
It's so hard to tell what kind of car it is or the license plate. And no one in the room seems to recognize it. they don't bother to rewind the footage any further because at this point, they have no reason to not believe Sheila's story.
Okay.
Since Skylar is seen willingly getting into a car and driving off, she was reported as a runaway, not a missing child, so no Amber Alert was issued. The one question on everyone's mind is whose car did Skylar get into and where was she now?
Mm.
But my question was, where's Rachel in all of this?
I forgot about her.
Well, she was supposed to be at church camp, but a storm came in that week and it knocked all the power out at camp, so it got delayed. So instead of leaving on the 6th like she planned, she instead went boating with her mom and some family friends, and then headed off to church camp the next day. Sheila came over every single day, always wanting to help look for Skylar. Once, she even asked if she could go into Skylar's room, and after a few minutes, Dave and Mary just heard her crying, just bawling. So Mary went in to comfort her, and she told Sheila, we're gonna find her, it's gonna be okay. And Sheila just went on and on about why wouldn't Skylar tell her she was meeting up with somebody else? Why would she leave her? Why wouldn't she call her? Why didn't she tell her anything? Making Dave and Mary comfort her.
Hold on.
You have a question?
I have a question. So, Sheila says they snuck out at 11 p.m. But she's then seen on footage at 12:31 p.m. getting to someone else's car?
Yes. So Sheila said she dropped Skylar off a little bit before midnight.
Why the fuck would they even hang out then?
So she picked her up about 11 and they drove around town smoking weed. And then they dropped her back off a little bit before midnight. And then Skylar was seen getting into another vehicle.
Okay.
Yes. So.
But you said since that moment, they didn't reverse.
They didn't rewind at that time.
Came back at midnight or whatever the fuck.
They just rewound until they saw Skylar.
Got it.
It's very important.
So
the police interviewed Sheila a few days after Skylar went missing. And they would have to wait until Rachel returned from church camp to interview her.
Oh no, what did the church say?
Sheila was cool as a cucumber in the days after Skylar went missing. Police came around to interview at her house, and she was sitting in the garage laughing and hanging out with family. Not acting like a best friend should if their friend was missing. And when the police finally got the chance to interview Rachel, she would just refer the police to Sheila if she didn't know the answer, and gave the exact same story Sheila did.
Huh.
But these girls kept tweeting. Oh, they kept tweeting. Like the morning Skylar went missing, Sheila tweeted, "Always keep your cool."
The fuck?
As the days turned into weeks, the Neeses were growing frustrated with local police because they were still refusing to believe Skylar was missing. They were convinced she had run away. Even though Skylar left her purse and phone charger in her room, what teenager runs away without a phone charger or a teen girl without her purse?
But so her phone's
with her, but her phone charger and her purse are still in her room.
Got it.
So by late summer, the police were growing suspicious of Skylar's two best friends, Sheila and Rachel. Something about the girls having identical stories that almost seemed rehearsed, and Rachel always just referring to Sheila when she doesn't know the answer. They couldn't help but feel the girls were withholding something. On top of that, Sheila was just constantly popping into the police station asking for updates on Skylar. And that would be fine if she wasn't wearing the shortest of shorts, the tiniest of crop tops, and a full-blown face of makeup every single time she came in. And not only that, she was all flirty and being really bubbly with the officers. Like, think Erin Brockovich trying to get what she needs. Okay, that's all I think of when I hear this part. And it just seemed so inappropriate to the officers at the station.
Baby girl, you are a child.
She is 16.
And these are officers of the law.
Right? Like, this is a felony. So, even though the police were growing suspicious of the girls, it wasn't because they thought they did something to Skylar. They just thought they knew more than they were giving up.
Mm-hmm.
And rumors were starting to swirl around. You know, the way they do in a small town. One was they all went to a party and Skylar got drunk and left with the wrong people. Or they went to a party and Skylar overdosed, they panicked and hit her body. Or Skylar ran away with a guy on the internet. At one point, there was a rumor that Skylar was involved with a guy who was involved in a string of bank robberies. And this rumor, even though it ended up being false, it really did have a credible start.
Why is it always Skylar's fault, though?
Because she got into a car and left. So
Okay.
the running off with the guy on the internet. But the most likely thing that investigators thought happened was the overdose at a party. That is what they thought the bottom of this was going to be the whole time. So as school started on August 16th, everyone wondered if Skylar would show up. But unfortunately, Skylar never showed up. And it wasn't long after school started back up that the administration shut down all talk about Skylar, which was such a horrible move. Teachers, students, and the counselors were very against this because they felt that it was going to have the opposite effect that they needed. They needed the info on Skylar. They needed people talking. So shutting down all of this wasn't going to help them get to the bottom of some of these rumors that had started.
Yeah.
On August 24th, Dave and Mary go to the state police because the local police are still refusing to believe Skylar didn't run away and told them that the state police refused to help with the investigation. But the state police tell Mary they would never refuse to help on a case and that they have no record of being asked for help. At the time, the state police were investigating a string of robberies, and with that rumor going around town, they decided to investigate if the two could be connected. And that's when it was determined that Skylar was not involved in the guy with the bank robberies.
Got it.
So, now that the state police are involved, they start interviewing the girls at school, serving them warrants for their phones during school, interviewing classmates at school. The police knew these two had to know something, and they were gonna keep pressing them. So, on September 3rd, any electronics that could be used to communicate were seized from Rachel and Sheila at school. Like, they were doing this in front of everyone. On purpose, they wanted everyone to know they were being looked at.
It's probably one of those moments. Ooh.
Yeah. But this wasn't done just because. This was done after police went back through surveillance footage from the gas stations where the girls had said they went driving around. And that's when they realized the girls were lying about the entire timeline and where they went. It was through a series of Sheetz gas station surveillance videos that they watched Sheila's car drive towards Blacksville, Pennsylvania. Not around Star City like they said. Not only that, but the time the girls were seen driving around would match up with the time of Skylar getting into that car on apartment surveillance, not the timeline Sheila and Rachel had been giving them. So, with this new timeline of events, they reviewed the surveillance from Skylar sneaking out. But this time, they decided to go back further to see if Sheila and Rachel had actually picked Skylar up when they said they did. And what they saw surprised everyone. Skylar is never seen on video earlier in the night. Investigators then determined that it was Sheila's car they had seen, and she lied about what time she picked Skylar up. The reason Sheila got away with this for so long was because she was sitting in that room when they watched that surveillance. It was by pure luck the street she said she dropped Skylar off on isn't in camera view. Now, her new story, though, does line up with talking to Skylar on the phone at midnight the night before, because when you going to call to say you're going to pick someone up?
Hey, bro, I'm on the way.
Yeah. Hey, bro, I'm going to get Rachel, and then I'll be at your house.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. So, if they would have rewound from day one, this would have been such a different case.
Outcome?
She would have been a missing person.
Yeah.
So, once investigators had the cell phone and surveillance evidence, they confronted Rachel and Sheila with all the new information. This caused Rachel to change the story to Skylar jumped out of the car and ran into the woods. They tried to find her, but they couldn't. And that's why there's no video of Skylar coming back to the apartment complex. So once Sheila finds out from Rachel that this is what she changed the story to, Sheila's story changes to this as well.
Okay.
So in this, detectives decide to point out to Sheila that she has never tried to call Skylar after she went missing, and that this prompted Sheila to make her first post about Skylar since she went missing. So she posted on Twitter a picture of them, and I miss you so much. School's so hard without my best friend.
What a dumb bitch.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Like, if she was like so involved and so distraught sitting in her bedroom,
Mm-hmm.
like,
But she hasn't posted a single tweet or anything.
yeah,
Yeah. So
okay.
during this time, classmates said Rachel and Sheila really started to isolate themselves from everyone, and they started smoking weed constantly. So, like, according to classmates before Skylar went missing, they would never be smoking at school. They wouldn't show up high. They weren't leaving during school to go get high. It was just a occasional, like, ooh, hoo, hoo. You know, you remember being a teenager, like, look at me, I'm so cool. I'm going to post my pipe on Instagram, you know? So, but after Skylar went missing, these girls were leaving in the middle of school to go smoke. They were smoking before school. It was constant for them, and everyone knew.
Okay. But like, why a sudden change in that?
I don't know. Let's find out.
Bitch.
So in October, police started using fake Twitter accounts to antagonize Rachel and Sheila.
Hell yeah, brother.
I love it.
Hell yeah.
And it worked because the girls would soon start tweeting things that seemed to be about Skylar's disappearance. Like, soon after the fake Twitter attack started, Sheila tweets, "No one on this earth can handle me and Rachel. And if you think you can, you're wrong."
So I have a question. Were the police posing as other
Uh-huh.
kids?
It was 2 accounts, and they were as females, and they would literally just get on there and be like, "Why are you lying about Skylar? What did you do?" And like legitimately just like call them out and just like mess with them on stuff.
That's fantastic. So they were like, were they people at their school and they're just like, we're seizing
Mm-mm.
your account? They're just
No,
like, we're
they're just random people who set up,
new randos.
new like randos like from other schools. Like it's really easy to set it up as another school and like talk shit.
Fishing
Yeah.
in a non-romantic way.
So the police were going so hard on the girls because they knew something.
Well, yeah.
They still didn't think the girls did anything to her. They just thought that they were being forced to stay quiet by someone who did something to Skylar.
Okay.
So Dave and Mary were getting pissed at the police. They went in there and they were like, "Hey, you guys need to chill out on these girls. Like, we've known them for so long. They're her best friends. They wouldn't do anything. Like, they don't know anything. Y'all need to chill the fuck out."
Dave and Mary?
Yeah.
What the
But
fuck?
the police weren't talking to them at this time.
They weren't talking?
They weren't talking to the family. They weren't telling them anything. So everything the police were hearing was from Facebook and online sources at this point. So they don't know.
So they weren't telling her parents?
No, they weren't telling her parents
anything.
how suspicious they were being of the girls or why they were. They were just going so hard.
Told them.
So,
or did they not want them to tell others?
They were just,
I get it. Keep it on wraps. All right.
They should have been talking more to the parents about it, but they weren't. So they felt like Dave and Mary thought they were just being so unfair to these girls at this point.
Yeah.
So Sheila and Rachel were really starting to get rejected by their peers at school, and everyone was getting really suspicious of them. So Rachel's classmate Daniel, the same one who was talking about the three-way call at the play rehearsal, he started pressing Rachel during drama rehearsal one day, and he pulled her aside and he goes, "You need to tell the FBI everything you know." And she acted all annoyed and was like, "I have been. I already told them everything." And he goes, "No, you didn't. You guys know more and you need to tell them." And then after that, he just started telling everybody that he thought they did something to her.
Oh, good on you,
man.
Yeah.
So all of this information prompted the police to administer polygraph tests to the girls. And Sheila failed horribly. She only got her name right. She actually ended up failing 2 in total.
Wait, don't they ask like 3 or 4 questions that are supposed to be truthful?
She legit got her name right. And not only that, she's like texting Rachel, like all nonchalant, like, "It's fine. Like, we'll be fine. Like, they can't use them in court anyway. Like, it's easy. It's fine." Like, she's like acting like they can pass them and it's no big deal. Rachel, on the other hand, she ends up jumping out of her father Rusty's moving car on the way to avoid taking the test and runs all the way to Sheila's mom's office, where Tara then allowed her to stay with her, kept Rachel away from her parents and the police, prompting Jessica Colbank, who is a detective on the case, to call Tara a tool to her face for stonewalling the investigation and assisting these girls. And it's just like,
You're such a tool. That's such a Kesha thing to do. I love it.
But it's just one of the examples of just how much these investigators on Skylar's case cared about getting justice for Skylar. She got kicked off the case after that.
What was her mom's name? Tara?
Yeah. So Jessica Colbank, who's
Toolman Tara.
Toolman Tara. Okay.
Oh, what an idiot.
By mid-December, Sheila and Rachel were being homeschooled because actual school was way too much for them to handle. Rachel had started to become uncontrollable and constantly lashing out, and neither one of them could really handle the scrutiny that they were under. The girls never went anywhere alone. Sheila's mom wouldn't even let her talk to people when they were out in public. One instance being when Sheila was at the hair salon with her mom. If anyone talked to Sheila, Tara instantly answered. And last night, going through Sheila's tweets, I actually found a tweet from this time period where it was, "I'm sorry. If somebody asked me a question, why the fuck are you answering for me?" And I was like, you're talking about your mom. So by now, the police were talking to Dave and Mary more, but not as much as they wanted, until Detective Chris Berry leaked info to Dave. And he knew he shouldn't have done it, but he wanted to see if it would get things going. What would happen? And Dave and Mary were getting really frustrated. So this move eventually got him kicked off the case. No. But it just shows how much these detectives cared about Skylar. They were willing to get kicked off the case just to help get her justice.
Can you give me like a timeline at this point, like how long it's
been?
So
we're in December
of
2012.
They got homeschooled that fast?
Yeah, they started being homeschooled in December, around the polygraph time in November, December.
Got it. Okay.
So soon after Detective Berry leaks this stuff.
Yeah. Do you know why he leaked?
He leaked because he wanted to see what would happen. Okay. He wanted to see
why he leaked.
Yes, I'm about to tell you.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
So soon after, Mary decided to make a Facebook post. On December 16th, Mary Neese, Skylar's mom. Yes. And she laid everything out.
Damn it.
Everything.
Wait,
so
is this good?
I am going to just read the end of it because she starts from the day Skylar went missing. And I've already covered everything that she has covered into the post up to this point. So for context, she is starting in September when the state police stepped in. Okay. So this is now Mary's Facebook post. Okay. At this point, the investigation became a top priority for the state police and the FBI. Interviews were being done and investigations were done into cell phones, computers, iPods, etc. I must take note that Apple Corporation was contacted at this time with subpoenas from the FBI to disclose the last location that Skylar had used her iPod, and Apple refused. They were contacted several times by both the state and federal levels, and to this day, they have refused to cooperate. We have been told this could have been over months ago if they were willing to cooperate. Through these investigations, it was discovered that Skylar's two best friends that she had snuck out with were not telling the whole truth. They have continued to withhold information to this day and have been caught in multiple lies to both the state and federal authorities. The original belief was that they were in fear of retribution or the consequences of others. At this point, both girls have been offered immunity and still refuse to cooperate. The supposed bestest friend of Skylar's has even failed her lie detector test. The other best friend has not shown up for her test or last interrogation. She conveniently disappeared and did not show up at her lawyer's office for her last appointment. These girls seem to believe that they are invincible and nothing will happen to them. But subpoenas and warrants are being issued for the next grand jury in January. Pause. There was a grand jury in October for these girls. They won't say what it was about. It's sealed in there. So there's supposed to be another grand jury in January. That doesn't happen, but you'll see why. Oh. Throughout all this nightmare, the girls have withheld information. In the beginning, her best friend would come to the house and cry with us and say that she wanted Skylar home. I love these girls unconditionally and would have never dreamed they could be capable of things such as this. I felt about them as my daughters. This is truly the ultimate betrayal. The other friend never showed at our house and has only contacted us on a couple occasions throughout these past 5 months. It is appearing at this point, with all the investigative information, that these girls are more guilty than originally suspected. It just sickens me to know that anyone at this young of an age could sit by and let their supposed best friend disappear in this way. If it was truly something that happened as an accident, they have had every opportunity to come forward with this information and have even been offered immunity. At this point, it looks like foul play has occurred and murder has not been ruled out. I cannot stress enough what this has done to not only Dave and I, but the entire community. There has been a huge outpouring of love and support for us, and we truly could not have come this far without all this love and support. It is time for the girls to come forward with everything they know. Our family needs closure to move on, whether it be with Skylar's remains or the best scenario is that it be Skylar herself. Mary motherfucking Neese, y'all.
Immunity.
Yeah. So that's what got leaked to them. So obviously Dave and Mary, not on Rachel and Sheila's side anymore.
Rightfully so.
So police asked Mary to take this post down a few days later, and she did. But that doesn't mean it didn't do anything.
Shots.
It was shared hundreds of times. And it also prompted Rachel to message Mary on Facebook.
Oh, shit.
So on December 27th, Rachel messaged Mary asking how they were doing and if her and her mom could do anything for them. Mary responded with, "Well, we're chugging along. The only thing you can do is tell me where she is. She needs to be put to rest the proper way." Rachel responds, "What do you mean?" Mary,
Fuck off.
you know exactly what I mean.
Oh, snaps, Mary. Get her. Get her.
Like, fuck yeah, Mary. Yeah, just straight up like, you know. So,
Did she ever respond? Did she leave her on red?
nope, she did not respond to that. I mean, I wouldn't respond to that either. The shit.
I just wanted to message
Like,
her.
Mary just straight called her out. Like, I know you did it. Where's she at?
I hope you're well, Mary. Fuck off, Rachel.
Right?
Go on.
So, as Rachel's increasingly erratic behavior got worse, it was chronicled by Rachel's neighbor. So, as the months went on after Skylar's disappearance, the fights between Patricia and Rachel got louder and worse. So, in an attempt to get Rachel under control, her dad, Rusty, moves in to her and her mom's house while Rachel and Patricia are on vacation in Virginia. So, on December 28th, Patricia and Rachel arrive home from Virginia, and as soon as Rachel figures out what's going on with her dad moving in, she gets into a physical altercation with Patricia and beats the fuck out of her.
Out of her
with
mother?
Like a candlestick, like a heavy ass.
Like some kloosh?
Yeah. Like, so like starts beating the fuck out of her in the house. Patty's calling 911 and running out of the house as the neighbor's hearing all this and like walks outside to watching like Rachel like chasing her with a candlestick and like beating her in the face with it. And then like, yeah. And then Rachel's running around the neighborhood like yelling like, "You're ruining my life." But Rachel was on the phone with Sheila for all of this and no one knew it at the time. So when the
teenagers are so dramatic.
They are. So when the ambulance and the police show up, Patricia's all, "Don't take her to the police station. Take her to the mental hospital. Don't go to the hospital. Don't go to the police station. Go to the mental hospital."
Okay.
And that's exactly where they took Rachel. They took her to Chestnut Ridge Inpatient Mental Facility for Teens.
Okay.
Immediately, Sheila and Tara try to see Rachel. And no one will let them near her. But they didn't just stop there. They tried multiple times, but they couldn't get in. They could get in the building. They could get on the elevator, but they couldn't get onto the secured floor that Rachel was on. They even tried wigs and sunglasses at one point. Like, I really want video. Like, I want surveillance of
I would love
I want to see it so bad. So, of course, Sheila still hasn't stopped tweeting and all of this. So the night Rachel goes into the facility, she tweets, "Wow, literally worst night of my life." I'm sorry, bitch. Rachel, Rachel is locked down, and it's the worst night of your life? Followed by, hope my girl Rach is okay. Love ya. Okay. Yeah.
But she couldn't post about Skylar going missing.
No, but Rach instantly. So, on January 3rd, 2013, a mere 5 days after Rachel had been admitted to the facility, her mom, Patricia, picked her up, drove her to her attorney's office. Rachel had something she needed to tell him. When they got there, her attorney called the U.S. Attorney's Office and said his client was willing to talk if they worked out a deal. Once everyone had arrived, Rachel asked her parents to wait in the hallway.
Excuse me?
Rachel then pulled a trash can over to herself as if what she were about to say was going to make her vomit. But instead, she just word vomited. We stabbed her. That's it. Those were the first words out of her mouth. And everyone was shocked. Kind of like that. They never suspected the girls had killed Skylar. They still thought the girls just knew more than they were saying. The investigators were still thinking this was an overdose being covered up.
Are you shitting me?
No.
Jesus.
Everyone was still expecting these girls to come out and say it was an accident. But Rachel would go on to confess everything. The plan had started back in the spring of 2012 in science class when Sheila and Rachel were talking about how annoying Skylar was, and Sheila jokingly said, "We should kill her." And Rachel just agreed. There were witnesses to this conversation in science class. Because it was an offhand conversation, but also kind of a class discussion about like hiding bodies and like disposing of bodies and stuff. You know, like we have conversations like that. But it was like a offhand jokey type thing. I don't think anyone particularly heard the let's kill her thing, but the whole discussion of hiding bodies thing, everybody was part of.
I don't think I've ever joked about killing
your friend?
My friends.
So in the following weeks, Sheila told Rachel to pick the date. And Rachel picked July 5th because unbeknownst to Sheila, Rachel would be out of town at church camp. But this didn't stop Rachel from continuing to plan the murder with Sheila. They would all sneak out and go for a drive to the woods to smoke weed like they had done so many times before. Rachel took a shovel from her house. Sheila took 2 kitchen knives from her house, along with a change of clothes and cleaning supplies. So, on the night of July 5th, Sheila picked up Rachel before leaving Rachel's house. They wrapped the knives in rags and put them under their hoodies. I also want to note, it's hot as fuck in West Virginia in July. But on this particular night, it was 80 degrees after the sun went down and still humid as fuck, even at midnight. So once Sheila and Rachel got to Skylar's, they unwrapped the knives from the rags and tucked the knives underneath their armpits so Skylar wouldn't see them and they would be ready. Skylar hopped in the car, and then Sheila proceeded to drive the 30 miles to Blacksville, Pennsylvania, to a wooded area just a few miles from where Sheila's dad's live. Once the girls got there, they all got out of the car to find a place to smoke. Once they found a spot, Skylar realized she left her lighter in the car, so she went back to get it. And then when she did, Rachel looked at Sheila and said, "On 3," which was the agreed upon signal. Then on 3, Rachel and Sheila pulled out the knives and began stabbing Skylar in the back. Skylar fought back and at one point got away, but Rachel tackled her. Skylar managed to get a knife and stabbed Rachel in the leg. But eventually the girls overpowered Skylar. Skylar's last words would be "why" over and over and over again. Rachel went on to say it took a while for Skylar to stop making noises, and then it was awful just waiting for her to die. They had planned to dig a hole, but the ground was too hard with a lot of rocks. So they dragged her under a large tree, covered her with leaves and branches. Then the girls took their clothes off, washed off in the creek, put on the change of clothes they brought with them. They turned Skylar's phone off and left it near her body.
I hope they got some kind of parasite from that damn creek. The fuck?
Yeah.
I hope she stabbed her in that leg hard, too.
So, I'm really glad that you said that. So listen, this is something that I couldn't figure out how to make it fit early in without giving this away.
Yeah.
So, actually, a family member and
Rachel's
the
family
neighbor,
member.
or one of Rachel's family members and the neighbor of Rachel
Yeah.
were on that boat ride. And on that boat ride, Patricia, the boat the day after, Skylar went missing, the day she turned up missing,
Yeah,
Rachel was on the
that boat
boat
ride.
before she went to church camp. So actually, Patricia was freaking out about this cut on Rachel's leg. And a family member was like, it wasn't bad. Like, it was like a scrape. But the neighbor remembers it being deep and being like, wow, that's really deep. Like, she should get that looked at. It was from where Skylar stabbed her. But nobody had brought this up in the beginning because no one thought that had, Rachel wasn't a suspect at the time, and the police didn't talk to her until she came back from church camp.
With how big of a helicopter parent Patricia was, like, how did she not freak out about that shit?
Because there's a very heavy underlying tone that Tara and Patricia knew what the girls did, but they were protecting them. Because remember, Tara kept Rachel away. Like, what caused Jessica to yell at her at the police station was because Tara brought Sheila in for questioning, and they were talking about Rachel, and she was all, Rachel's in the car. And that's when Jessica goes off on Tara for being a tool and stonewalling the investigation and protecting these girls, and that she should feel like an ass because she's like not telling them what she knows. Yeah.
So, do you think that because Sheila and Toolman were besties, do you think she straight up fucking told her?
Oh, there's no doubt in my mind that Tara knew.
Hmm.
She did so much to protect, and you'll
get
hear
there?
Yeah.
Okay.
It never comes out that Patricia or Tara knew, but
they probably fucking
small town, everyone knows everybody. There's no way they didn't know.
Okay.
So after Rachel's full confession, she agreed to right then and there take detectives to Skylar's body. And it did take her a bit to find the exact location because she wasn't as familiar with the area as Sheila was. And Sheila's the one who drove out there. And, well, also because the road you drive down is Eddy Road. I don't know what that means. That's Sheila's last name. There's so many Eddies in that area of Blacksville, Pennsylvania. And that's where she grew up at. You literally have to drive down Eddy Road to get to where Skylar's body is disposed of.
That's just a coincidence.
No. Well, yeah, but it's like, okay, so, but it's just a large family name out there, so it's not surprised, like, it's probably like a generational old family name, so it's not surprised that there's streets and stuff named out there.
Okay. I'm just saying it's a coincidence that that's the road she fucking chose to go down.
Yes, but she also knew this was the area because it was only literally a couple miles from her dad's house. Yep. So she knew the area well.
Uh-huh.
So it took her a minute to find the exact location, but they did eventually find it. And unfortunately, there was just so much snow that they couldn't search at that time.
This was December?
It's February.
It's February?
No, it's January. It's January 3rd.
Okay. And is this why that grand jury didn't happen?
Yes, because Rachel confessed before they could get to the grand jury.
Sorry, I'm skipping ahead.
No, you're fine. But that's what I meant by you'll find out why.
Got it.
So thank you for bringing that back up.
You're welcome.
You're paying attention. I'm proud of you.
ADHD. Why wouldn't I not pay attention?
I don't know.
Okay.
After all of this, Rachel was allowed to go home under strict instructions to not talk about her confession or the deal that was made. The FBI was now focused on collecting as much evidence against Rachel and Sheila as possible. So Rachel agrees to wear a wire when she goes home, as well as the FBI completely taking over her house. I'm talking they were hiding in closets, bathrooms, bedrooms. They had cameras. They had bugs in all the rooms, right? And they had planned for Sheila to come over. And of course she does the second Rachel gets home.
Mm-hmm.
And so the plan was for Rachel to get Sheila to talk about the murder with her. But Sheila is good. And she kept changing the subject anytime Rachel would try to bring it back up or try to redirect back to that. At one point, Rachel literally goes and, like, in a whispering tone almost goes, "They know." And Sheila goes, "No, they don't. Keep your mouth shut and they'll never know." The most damning thing that they could get out of Sheila was, okay. The other thing she says is she's been gone for 6 months. And that's the most damning thing that they could get out of her. But it doesn't even matter because she could be a cat, it could be a dog, it could be anything.
Yeah.
And Sheila just would not talk about it. Wouldn't even, not even a Skylar incident, not even nothing. Sheila was talking about boys, she was talking about school, all of that. Law and Order SVU. She has an obsession with Law and Order SVU. Dear God, it's all she talks about. Ugh. So Rachel and Sheila took a selfie this night.
A selfie.
A selfie. And we are going to link it. If you're on YouTube, it'll probably pop up right here. And right here in the middle. Anyway, so, and this picture, it's also on Sheila's Twitter and Rachel's, is so telling because you can just see the toll everything is taking on Rachel in this. Sheila looks fine, but Rachel, you can just tell, well, no shit. And she looks stressed because she's wearing a wire.
Maybe you shouldn't fucking stab people, man.
I mean, So they had no choice but to let Sheila go home and go about her life until they had enough evidence to arrest both girls. So on January 4th, the following morning, Sheila tweets, "First time I've ever been completely speechless." And that's a fucking shocker for this bitch. Followed by, like an hour later, "Holy fuck."
That's all it said.
That's it. Like, those are her tweets that evening about all this, okay? And
wait,
so that's on the 4th. So this is on the 4th. This is the day after
she gets
arrested.
okay.
Yeah. So she's let go. She had no idea the FBI was in the house. She had no idea about the wire. She just thought Rachel came home from the hospital and that was it. She has no idea Rachel confessed everything at this point.
Got it.
So later that day on the 4th. So Rachel came home on the 3rd or on the 4th. After those tweets that morning.
Holy fuck.
Yep. Sheila answers the door to warrants for the rest of her electronics and all the kitchen knives, 17 in total, and her car. I bet she's speechless now, bitch. So,
because she can't tweet it. Of course she's speechless.
Now Sheila and Rachel are super, super homeschooled for the rest of the year. Like, we were already like in that little homeschool vibe, but now we're like, we're not in the plays anymore. We're not doing any social stuff at school.
Broadway acting career.
So Sheila, yeah. Oh no. So Sheila spends her time watching Law and Order SVU reruns, and Rachel gets back with her boyfriend and just starts tweeting about how her past is her past. Why can't we just move on? She's on a new path. And the relationship between Sheila and Rachel kind of really start to devolve, and it plays out on Twitter because after January 3rd, they are not together again in person.
What kind of drugs did that place put her on, man?
I don't know.
So
once Sheila gets a new phone, her first tweet is, "You don't even know the amount of shit you've caused."
How did they allow her a new phone?
She went and got a new phone. On January 16th, 2 weeks after Rachel's confessions, canine dogs were searching the wooded area in Blacksville where Rachel had taken them. As one of the dogs stood under a large tree, his GPS collar just fell off.
What the fuck?
And it happened to fall off right on top of Skylar's body right before they were about to be done because the search wasn't giving them anything. And there's still snow.
What the fuck?
And so, just like Rachel said, she was under the tree.
Sprinkle of karma, man.
With the leaves and the branches on top of her. And it was kept quiet that a body was found. And that morning, after her body was found, you know, one of those police accounts that was antagonizing the girls?
Yeah.
Tweets in all caps, SKY, is so gloomy today.
Sneaky, sneaky.
Sneaky, sneaky. Meanwhile, Sheila would go on to tweet, "Wonder if there's a Law and Order SVU where they don't figure it out."
Okay.
And half of life is fucking up. The other half is dealing with it. And I love having the upper hand. While Rachel was tweeting, "There's so much I regret, but I'm on a new path, and I seriously couldn't be happier." Then the next day, "Shout out to my boyfriend for being the best through all of this shit."
Do you think the boyfriend knew?
Then in February, "This bitch is not going to ruin my life again."
Okay.
So I don't know if the
Jesus.
boyfriend knew or not. It doesn't seem like he does because there's a lot more tweets.
Know
Well,
it.
I think that he eventually does know because he tweets in her support and then suddenly that support just stops.
Well,
Yeah.
obviously. So he finds out the truth.
Yes. Then on February 10th, 2013, Skylar should have turned 17.
Uh,
But Sheila tweeted, complete waste of space, followed by, can't explain in words how much that killed my vibe. And Rachel tweeted, happy birthday!
wait. 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 She read
On,
Twila's again. Twila's. Read Sheila's tweet again.
on Skylar's 17th birthday, she
Yes.
tweets, complete waste of space,
Bitch. Okay.
followed by, can't explain in words how much that killed my vibe. She also tweeted, I love wings and curly fries on this day as well.
I also love wings and curly fries.
I do too, but you know, on the 1 year or on my best friend's birthday after she went missing, I think that I might say something to her. Huh.
Do you know which tweet came first? Was it
The waste of space?
before Rachel's tweet came out?
I don't know their timing.
Because, I mean, it would explain a lot, like, if Rachel's came first, and then
And
she
then
was like,
can't
"That
explain
killed
how
my
much.
vibe."
Yeah,
That probably, like, in my mind, that makes a lot more sense.
that would make sense.
Yeah.
Dave and Mary held a birthday party / vigil for Skylar and invited everyone. But there was a plan. So the FBI had plainclothes officers at Skylar's party, hoping that Rachel and Sheila would show up. Dave and Mary at this time were the only ones who knew Skylar had been found. But they didn't know the details. They just knew her body was found. So at this point, everybody at this party is still hoping for Skylar to be found, hoping she's okay. And Dave and Mary just have to put on this face and do this all day. And like they knew nothing.
Did they want the girls to show up with the police there to, like, arrest them?
No, just
to
because they were all in
see?
plainclothes officers. They just want to see what would happen, what the girls would give up. The girls didn't actually end up coming. Fucking shocking. Their parents, I mean, if their parents aren't going to let them talk in public to people, we're not going there.
One of them was watching Law and Order. The other one was hanging out with her boyfriend.
Easy.
Ugh.
So on March 13th, so about a month later,
Yeah.
the news broke that Skylar's body had been found and positively identified by the FBI. Immediately, Sheila tweets, rest easy, Skylar. You'll always be my best friend. While Rachel tweeted, rest in peace, baby. I love you and miss you more than anything. May you finally have justice. It's a real odd tweet from Rachel knowing she's on borrowed time.
Mhm.
You know?
Uh-huh.
So Sheila then tweets to Rachel, you stupid bitch. You could have kept your mouth shut and we wouldn't be in this situation.
She tweeted.
It gets deleted later on, but it was there long enough. Oh yeah, a lot of these tweets that I'm tweeting are at each other and stuff like that. So the ones that are like that is literally tweeted at Rachel.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Okay.
the forensic testing on Sheila's car would test positive for Skylar's blood, and Rachel's diary would reveal a lot. Starting on July 6th, she switched from normal teen girl writing to writing more in code and started to talk about the Skylar incident and how she didn't want that to happen again, and she wanted to be rebaptized.
Church camp.
Yeah, fucking church camp. So they were compiling so much evidence against the girls while trying to get the case so while they're compiling all this evidence, they're also trying to get this case moved from juvenile status to adult status.
Mm-hmm.
So they made a deal with Rachel. In exchange for her cooperation and testimony against Sheila, she would plead to a lesser charge of second-degree murder. And the reason that this was done was because the police believe that Rachel is the reason they even have Skylar's body. If they didn't have Rachel, they wouldn't have any of this. So they are more willing to work with her because they do believe that without her, none of this would be coming about. And it's really sad, but missing cases only stay relevant for so long.
Yeah.
So I understand, but at the same time, I don't think Rachel deserves this plea. So after this deal, Rachel's allowed to go to Myrtle Beach in April to see her grandmother. She appeared to be on a carefree vacation, going as far as to tweeting a picture of a mimosa with the caption, "I need a mimosa or 10."
Aren't you like 17 home slice?
Yeah. She posted her entire trip on social media, and to everyone, it appeared that she was just living her life. And the FBI had no choice but to let her do this because they just weren't ready to take her and Sheila into custody yet.
Jeez.
So on April 30th, Sheila tweets, "You suck bad." And
You suck.
And after that, it was shut up, and then shut, and then up. And like, those were like 5 tweets. And they were, yeah. I couldn't say they were directed at Rachel, but I would have to really assume they are when you find out what happens the next day.
Oh, God.
So that was on April 30th. On May 1st, Rachel, who had just gotten her driver's license, drove herself to the police station to turn herself in.
What a dumbass.
Well, no, it was already agreed upon.
Okay.
With her deal.
Why
but
did you have to get a driver's license?
Okay, if you're going to go to jail for the rest of your life, don't you want to drive at least once? Okay. It was her first time driving herself.
That's
and fair. Her last act of freedom.
Did she go to jail for life?
So, we'll get there. She drove herself to the police station to turn herself in. And it did not take long for the news to break that Rachel was in custody and had confessed to killing Skylar. Sheila had no idea Rachel was turning herself in and was at Cracker Barrel eating breakfast with her mom.
Oh.
The officers caught them just as they were crossing the parking lot to leave, and the officer who arrested her and drove her to the juvenile detention center was so pissed because all Sheila cared about was missing her hair appointment for prom. Because you see, Sheila had been hanging out with her cousin, and her cousin's prom was that night, and she was going with her cousin's best friend. And so she was out to breakfast, and they were supposed to all be getting ready and going to prom that night. And I'm so happy that she got arrested before she could go to prom because Skylar never got to go to prom. So fuck you, Sheila. That same day, Rachel was in court as she pled guilty to Skylar's murder and agreed to testify against Sheila in any trial. In exchange for this, the state of West Virginia to only recommend a 20-year sentence on a second-degree murder charge, and Pennsylvania won't prosecute her. So after the plea hearing, she was taken to a juvenile detention center in Wheeling, West Virginia. The girls were still separated like they had been since January 4th, the day after Rachel returned home from that mental health facility. And so on September 4th, Sheila was finally transferred to adult status, and her arraignment was scheduled for September 17th, where she glided into court, all smiles, and pled not guilty to the charges of kidnapping and murder and conspiracy. Trial was set for October 22nd. In a pretrial hearing, Sheila appeared less confident and more subdued. Her attorney made several motions, including moving the trial, suppressing Rachel's testimony, claiming that her mental health made it not credible, moving the trial day out further. And though the judge ignored most of these, it was agreed to move the trial date to January 28th, 2014. On January 24th, 2014, Sheila appeared in court again, but this time looking nothing like the teen that we saw in all those selfies. She had no makeup on, her hair was in a messy bun, and for the first time, she was wearing glasses. But not any glasses. She was wearing rectangle, thin frame glasses like Skylar used to wear. And Sheila decided to plead guilty to Skylar's murder, and she got a life sentence with the possibility of parole. And Pennsylvania agreed to not prosecute. So the biggest part on these girls taking these plea deals is because since the murder happened in Pennsylvania, but all of the investigation was happening in West Virginia, if they didn't make these deals, after West Virginia tried them, Pennsylvania could go through and try them. Yeah. So that is ultimately what makes Sheila plead guilty, because she gets out of Pennsylvania also charging her. But Dave Neese swore to be at every single parole hearing to make sure these girls stay locked up.
Good. And
on February 2nd, Rachel's sentencing began. And the prosecution revealed that the girls had stabbed Skylar over 50 times. It was originally reported that it was only around like 10 to 15 times. But at trial, they added in that they quit counting the marks on her after 50. So it could be more. And that when they asked Rachel and Sheila why they killed Skylar, they just simply responded, "We didn't like her anymore. She was getting in the way of our friendship." They just simply didn't like her anymore. So they killed her. And this is why that little girl coming in and messing with my daughter and her best friend scared the shit out of me. I get that they were 4th graders going into 5th grade at the time, but this story has been in my head for 12 years, and it is terrifying that because they didn't like her and because she knew about their relationship.
I have so many thoughts. And the first one, why wouldn't, as a coroner, I feel like you are responsible to count how many actual...
Oh, no, they do. But they, somebody does probably have an actual count, but whether or not that's actually been. But there was just so many of them.
And that's just, that's between 2 people.
And you think they started in her back, they tackled her, yeah.
And I'm sure she rolled over. She was trying to defend herself. Jesus.
Yeah. So, and for these girls to do this and then sit the way they sat for 8 months, yeah, it was almost Rachel's confession came in January, so that's 7 months they sat on this. And it's why I told you Sheila is scary.
Yeah.
The defense wanted Rachel to serve her sentence in juvenile detention, and prosecution said, fuck no. She knew what she was doing when she made a deal. She made a prison deal, not a juvie deal. And Rachel would be sentenced to 30 years in jail with the possibility of parole after 10 years. Because police believed that without Rachel, they never would have found Skylar. I still don't think that gets her a lighter fucking sentence, but it is what it is. And Sheila was transferred to Lakin Correctional Facility, the only women's prison in West Virginia, a week after her sentencing. 5 months later, when Rachel turned 18, she joined Sheila at Lakin. And up until now, Rachel had been in a juvenile facility. When Sheila and Rachel saw each other for the first time in 16 months, Sheila cussed her out for 10 minutes straight, telling her they would have gotten away with it if she hadn't told. Yeah, and it was all her fault, and if she could have just shut the fuck up, it would have been fine. But after a while, the girls kind of just did their own thing.
Prison.
Yeah. They both ended up in the same prison. I don't understand that. I get that it's the only women's facility in West Virginia, but can't we transfer one of them somewhere? And
a lot of
also
states over there, move one.
I've heard I heard in a podcast from somebody who was at Lakin that it is a cupcake and rainbow camp. It's the easiest prison she's ever been in. People would love to be there. So that doesn't make me feel any better. But something did happen 5 years after Skylar's death. Tara was cleaning out Sheila's room and packing up the house because she was moving. And there was a necklace she found, and she returned it to Dave and Mary Neese. And Dave instantly recognized it because the night Skylar snuck out, when she gave him a hug and a kiss goodnight, she was wearing this necklace and it whacked him in the face. And he had made a comment about it. And so as soon as he saw it, he instantly recognized it. But it's also really fucking creepy that Sheila took it off of her and kept it. Yeah. You little fucking psychopath.
It's just I don't remember, I can't tell you exactly who it was right this minute, but multiple killers, but there was one specific serial killer that would keep tokens. Most of them do.
Most of them do.
Most of them do.
She's 16.
Yeah.
So I'll talk more about her later. So Rachel ends up marrying her cellmate, Amy. after Amy was released
Don't
in
church.
April of 2019, but they got divorced in July of 2022. And this is important, I promise. Rachel had her first parole hearing 10 years later, May 9th, 2023. So a year ago.
Like a year ago.
And no notification was given to Dave and Mary from the court for this, but don't worry, they still made it. They had to attend via Zoom because they live in Florida now. They don't live in West Virginia anymore.
No birds, probably.
And so Rachel started with a statement to the judge and Mary and Dave Neese about how she can't express how sorry she is for what she has done and for the pain she's caused. And she loves Skylar and she knows what they did was terrible and there's no words to describe the pain they caused. But remember, Rachel's an actress. So she turned those waterworks on and started crying, trying to explain that they were not okay after the murder like everyone thought they were. And the only time that she stops crying during this, or any of the emotion in her voice, is when the judge asks who planned it and whose idea. And Rachel, like almost with pride, says we both did. Sheila and her equally planned it. She still is taking full responsibility for her half in doing this. She says she doesn't deserve parole, but she has earned it. And not because of her accomplishments, like she did cosmetology school and all this other stuff in jail. She goes, I know it's not because of my accomplishments, because Skylar will never get the chance to accomplish what I have in prison. But because she was so young and impulsive and she has grown since then. And that's why she feels she deserves parole. But I also want to go back in here to the part where she is talking about like we weren't okay afterwards. Like we were throwing up every day. We were besides ourselves. I'm sorry, bitch. You were tweeting and posting selfies. We
had a boyfriend.
And had a boyfriend. I mean, we were attacking mama, but like you seemed okay. So the judge then clarifies the reason they killed Skylar was because Sheila and Rachel were in a relationship and were terrified to be separated if anyone found out. And Rachel agrees. She says, yes, at that time, I was terrified of people finding out about me and Sheila. We were terrified to be separated. Like, we loved each other. So, yes, Sheila and Rachel were in a relationship, and Skylar was a threat to that. And that's finally the full part of it. So, obviously, so judge clarifies that. Rachel agrees with him. Then Dave Neese stands up. You see, he's got a few things to say. And I can't find a good recording of this to play it for you guys. I got to hear it out of a podcast, but only because they were literally sitting next to him when he said it on the Zoom for her parole hearing. So I'm going to read it to you because Dave is good. All right. This man, like, I've listened to this so many times because I love it. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen of the West Virginia Parole Board, thank you for the opportunity to tell you why I believe this inmate should not be granted parole. Because of that malicious monster, my child never got a limo for her prom. Instead, she got a ride in a coroner's vehicle. Also, there's no sparkling gown for Skylar, just a body bag. She will never have a certificate of graduation, only a death certificate. This narcissistic, first-degree, cold-blooded killer is not sorry for the brutal murder of my only child. It's my belief that she is proud she murdered my daughter in cold blood. The day after she plunged kitchen knives into my child, this devil was seen on a friend's boat smiling and posing for photographs. The date of July 6, 2012 was chosen for a specific reason. You see, this beast wanted the killing out of the way before she left for church camp. Just another task to mark off her list, like standing over my child and saying, "Die, bitch," as my baby girl took her last breath because the evil butcher didn't want to be her friend. I wasn't there to defend my baby girl from this diabolical killer on July 6, 2012, but I'm here today to do everything within my power to make sure she stays behind bars. This inmate has proven that she is both evil and mentally unstable. No one can fix that kind of madness. I believe if she is paroled, she will kill again. Murder is a game to this inmate. Ladies and gentlemen, that is insanity. This person is proved to be a narcissist and is a dangerous person who has no remorse in the least. This inmate has destroyed so many many lives when she murdered Skylar. This inmate is just the rat that narked and got a deal. She showed us where she murdered Skylar, yet she is also the narcissist liar that put my daughter in that place. This monster is a danger to society. If released, no parent can close their eyes at night without fear that their own child could possibly be the next victim. This vicious murderer sits here today asking for a second chance. I ask you, where is Skylar's second chance? Where was her second chance when this monster counted to 3 and began to slash and stab my only child? I don't want to live in a world without Skylar, but I have to. I want to make sure it's as safe as possible from predators like this one. I ask that you deny parole for this diabolical butcher and allow Skylar's mother and I the knowledge that her killer will not be granted the reality of adulthood that our daughter was never allowed to experience. Dave motherfucking Neese, y'all.
I don't know if you can see it, but I have fucking...
His use of the word inmate is my favorite thing in the world.
God.
And I want you guys to know, I have listened to that so many times that I did try to put his inflictions where he put them in the way he said certain things because I could hear his West Virginia accent rolling through my head as I did it. You should definitely listen to him saying that because it is so powerful.
I really want to hear him say it. Like, no offense to you, but
no,
like there's just
but it is.
There's something so impactful from like a parent, like hearing it from a parent.
I had to not have a lot of emotion or else I was going to start crying.
Yeah.
Rachel was ultimately denied parole. Good. Obviously. But she is eligible for parole every May until her release date in May of 2028, which is ironically the same month as Sheila's first parole hearing.
Huh.
So in May of 2024, so just last month.
It's still May, babe.
Not when this episode gets released.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Sorry.
So just last month in May, Rachel was supposed to have another parole hearing. And there's a rumor that it didn't happen because she hasn't been staying out of trouble in prison. And my source for this is Dave Neese on the Skylar Facebook page, which I will have linked for you guys as well. There's actually 2 pages I will link you guys to. Dave and Mary are very active on them. And so I'm still waiting for an update on her parole and what happened and all that. And when we do have it, it'll either be in a WTF episode or if it's just a little blurb about like why she didn't have a parole hearing, we'll put that on the social medias. So that's kind of where that stands. But with Rachel and Sheila, where they sit in jail, but there's a few things about Skylar, more things about Skylar I want to share with you guys. So in December, that Facebook post I read from Mary's Facebook, a blurb that I didn't put in there that we hadn't covered was that December, Skylar's law got rolling in 2012. And it started with a petition to change the law that says the state of West Virginia recognizes a child as a runaway instead of a missing child until presented with evidence that suggests otherwise. So Skylar was a runaway until they could find other evidence that suggested not. They got that law changed in February of 2019. And now they will make sure that local law enforcement has to chase down every lead before it goes cold for a missing child. Missing children are now missing children. They are not classified as runaways. Kind of like what happened with Gannon here. Mm-hmm. So that was awesome. Another thing is...
It's for like anyone under the age of 18, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So that would have changed everything for Skylar. Mm-hmm. Everything. We wouldn't have had to wait until the end of August when Mary pulled the state police in for everything to get going.
There could have been search parties. There could have been...
so much more done.
Yeah.
That video rewound.
Yeah. Like going further.
Yes. And so something that Dave posts on the Facebook page is he wants to make sure that everyone knows Skylar's promise. And so I'm just going to read what he wrote. Skylar's promise is really easy. If you hear someone talking about hurting or bullying or trying to harm another person, tell someone. That can do something about it. Just wanted to make sure that everyone knows. And that's it. Just tell somebody. Do something. Mm-hmm. Also, the tree where Skylar was found. It is a huge memorial now.
Good.
There's a bench out there. People leave letters and pictures. And Dave said there's enough sunglasses out there to last Skylar a lifetime at this point.
Oh.
So if you're ever Blacksville, Pennsylvania, go check out Skylar's tree and her bench. Leave her a little note. Like I said earlier, Dave and Mary Neese moved to Florida out of the area. It's not that they wanted to. It's just because of how much media attention the case had gotten and that they had put their address out there for Skylar's party. After everything happened, people would stop by and, to bring them food or bring them something or just to check on them. And at first it was very endearing for them, but then it was every day. And then things were getting left with neighbors that they didn't even know. And so they just had to remove themselves because it was just too much.
And that could have been dangerous.
Yes.
Too.
As well as Rachel's family no longer lives in the town, neither does Sheila's. But yeah, just another thing that I would like to bring up and talk with you about. And it's something that's been discussed widely with this case. If social media did not exist at this time, do you think Skylar would still be alive?
Honestly, I'm gonna say probably not. I don't regardless of the social media and all their tweeting and all the bullshit of it, I think because she physically saw them, none of their.
But there's also a lot of attacks on the Twitter, through the girls and stuff.
Well, absolutely.
But let me put it this way.
Yeah.
So me and you in high school.
Yeah.
We had MySpace.
Ugh.
MySpace was you ranked your top 8 and
you
ranked your friends and it was fine. But we didn't have to deal with Snapchat and Instagram where you're at home and you're watching your friends hang out and do this stuff without you and you weren't included.
To be fair though, this was around that we had just gone
to high
school,
but MySpace
so it wasn't that bad.
No, and it wasn't, but
it doesn't that old bitch.
But it doesn't stay at school anymore like it did with us. You know what I mean? True. Skylar wasn't just dealing with Sheila and Rachel hanging, being mean to her at school or doing whatever. She also had to see them on social media, hanging out and doing stuff without her, talking in inside jokes without her on there.
We had that too. We're just assholes.
Yeah.
But so I still feel even though she saw, I still feel that they still probably would have killed her. One, Sheila's a fucking psychopath.
Yeah, you have to factor in that.
Exactly. Two, she knew something about them that wasn't on social media, that wasn't out there in the public. She was the one that knew about it. That was one of the she fucking Rachel said. So, and they just stopped liking her. Social media didn't cause them to stop liking her.
No.
It was all in their own fucking heads, and they're the mental ones that decided that's how we got to get rid of her. They didn't decide that over social media. They decided in a fucking classroom and did it.
Yes.
But I do agree that social media bullying is fucking wild.
Yeah, it does. It plays such a huge role, which is why my kid's going into middle school next year and she's still not getting social media.
Ugh.
She still ain't getting a phone because of this right here.
Yeah.
This is part of it. But bullying is a serious problem with kids and teens, and social media plays a huge role nowadays. The bullying doesn't just stay at school. It follows them home. It shows them who's hanging out without them, and it can be used to target peers, gang up, attack their page, do other things. So, but there is help 24/7. There is a text it's a helpline, and the text number is 44357. It's free, it's confidential, anyone can use it.
Yeah. Please use it.
Yeah, and if anyone's bullying you, message us. We're mean as fuck.
Even if you don't want us to be mean to someone, if you just want to talk to someone, we're gonna fucking listen. We've been through this shit. I was bullied in school. I was bullied in school.
I have giant ears, and I say stupid shit.
That's why we're friends.
Yeah, but it is.
I don't know. I just feel like so many people feel like they can't go to their parents or any type of adult anymore.
Yeah, so we'll be your parents. We'll be your adult.
Technically, I am an adult.
Technically, we are. Technically, I'm a parent too, but
I'm just a cool aunt.
You are.
I'm okay with that.
But yeah, you can even talk to us about it.
Yep.
This is
All
one of
right.
my favorite cases, guys. Oh, please listen to 3 by Waveland. It's a podcast. It is 8 episodes with a bonus episode, but it is, you already know everything about the case, so now you just get a lot more in depth and interviews with people, and it's very organic. So I would recommend it a lot, and I'll link it in our description. So, thank you for listening to Skylar's story and helping us get justice for Skylar. As always, the best way to get justice for Skylar is to be a voice against bullying and to be there for people who are. And so, we really thank you for listening. And if you enjoyed today's episode, hit that subscribe button, hit the follow button so you never miss an episode. And if you have a moment, please leave us a review. It really does help us out. And we love reading them so much. Like, we might even have a little, like, mini reel of us just reading reviews because they're awesome.
And all the comments that everyone's leaving. People have left comments that I like about information I didn't know about.
I know. I've
love
seen
it.
some of those and I love it. So keep it coming.
Please
So,
do.
Thanks for listening.
Yes, thanks
Go
for
find us on all our social
ass.
medias. Yep. And we will see you next Tuesday for a brand new episode.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Love you.
Bye. Bye.